on, folks. When is enough going to be enough? Can we stop pretending like this is normal? Britney fans, Yas queens, please, please look at this. When are you going to be honest with yourself? When is enough going to be enough? What does Britney have to do for you to acknowledge that this isn't normal? What does Britney have to do for you to acknowledge that there's something slightly off about her? I mean, she put out her book. There's no deep, dark secrets in this book like y'all said there would be. In fact, there's nothing really worth a damn in this book at all from what I've seen so far. So can we stop with the act? Can we stop pretending like this is cool and empowering? Can we stop pretending like this is something that totally sane people do? I mean, the woman is dancing around pretending to be a ninja. What more do you have to see? And you know what? I'm now on chapter 5 of this book. And this has been one of the most boring, time-wasting experiences of my life. 5 chapters in. There is nothing in this book so far about the conservatorship. There is nothing even worth noting within this book so far. And you know what? I thought that I was going to be able to sit down and review it for you all chapter by chapter, but there's simply nothing worth talking about, at least in the first 5 chapters of this book. So far, all I know is that Britney's grandma was crazy, got put into a crazy house, she offed herself. Britney's great-great-grandma started going senile, and they stopped letting Britney hang around her after she got in a car accident. Britney's confused and jealous about her brother getting a lot of gifts after his body was crushed under a tractor and he almost died. That's about it. Oh, matter of fact, there's one thing in here that drew my interest. What's funny is all of these Yas Queen Britney Spears fans, they're dying to read this book, but there's nothing in this book for them. None of the stuff you were promised is in this book, but there's stuff in this book for me. That's the crazy part. As I mentioned, in chapter 1 of this book, Britney accidentally reveals that her grandmother suffered from mental health issues. So I'm guessing she maybe passed those down to Britney. Now, in the next couple of chapters of this book, Britney talks about how desperate she always was for attention, and nothing has really changed. She said that she used to hide in cabinets from her family because she was desperate for the attention. She would hide so long that people would get worried that maybe she ran away or got abducted, and then she would pop up out of the cabinet in an attempt to get attention. Actually, here's one page. In spite of the nightly drama, by day my mom made our home a place my friends wanted to come to. At least when my father respected us enough to drink somewhere else. All the kids from the neighborhood came over. Our house was, for lack of better word, the cool house. We had a high bar with 12 chairs around it. My mom was a typical young Southern mom, often gossiping, always smoking cigarettes with her friends at the bar. She smoked Virginia Slims, the same cigarettes I smoke now, or talking with them on the phone. I was dead to all of them. So, here we have a young Britney. She's upset that her mother's friend didn't pay undying attention to her. I was dead to my mother's friends because, I don't know, maybe they sat down and wanted to have adult conversations. So Britney paints herself out to be a victim whenever she's not the center of attention for everyone. If she's in a room of people and she's not the center of attention, she's a victim. So she's showing how desperate that she's always been for attention. So when we see her crying out for attention on Instagram now, it's no different than the cries for attention that she would put out there as a child. But let's go further. The older kids would sit on the bar chairs in front of the TV and play video games. I was the youngest one. I didn't know how to play video games, so I always had to fight to get the older kids' attention. Our house was a zoo. I was always dancing on the coffee table for attention. And my mom was always chasing after Brian when he was little, jumping over couches, trying to catch him so she could spank him after back-talking her. I was always overly excited, trying to draw the older kids' eyes from the screen in the living room or to get the adults to stop talking to one another in the kitchen. "Britney, stop!" my mother would yell. "We have company. Just be nice. Be on good behavior." But I ignored her, and I would always find a way to get everyone's attention. So it's funny because Britney's trying to paint her mom out to be a bad person in this moment, but she's really just showing how desperate for attention she's always been. Her mom's a bad, bad person because her mom wanted to have adult conversations without Britney dancing on the table, trying to, draw attention to herself from the older boys who were at her house. I mean, for the love of God, I don't understand why I am reading this. I really regret making this promise to you all to read this book because I have never encountered, in my 32 years on planet Earth, I've never encountered a bigger waste of time than this nonsense that I have been reading so far. Nonsense that paints Britney out to be a victim every step of the way when it's clear that she's not a victim. So now I'm supposed to feel bad for Britney because the older teenage boys at the house weren't paying attention to her when she was 6 years old, dancing on the table, desperate for their attention. I mean, what am I supposed to gain from this? Oh yeah, there's also another weird detail about how Britney slept with her big brother in his bed until 6th grade. So I think that's kind of weird. But all in all, so far, nothing at all of value in this book. And every step of the way, they try to paint Britney out to be a victim, when in reality, I'm seeing that Britney was always kind of a brat that wanted everyone to be focused on her. I mean, that's my main takeaway from 5 chapters of this book. There's also details in here that are made up. Like Britney accuses her dad and her mom of doing drugs, of doing speed, well before she was born. Like she's throwing details in this book about her father and her mother years before Britney was ever here. And I'm really wondering if she just made this stuff up. Even the stuff about her grandma and how her grandma was, had to get, they gave her lithium and she was put in a mental hospital. I'm questioning if those details are real as well because her grandma was dead well before Britney was even born. So where is Britney getting this information? Is she getting it from her mother that so-called never paid attention to her? Or is she getting it from her alcoholic father? Or is she just making this stuff up? I think that she might be making some of these details up. But all in all, folks, that page that I read for you all, that's about it. That was one of the most interesting pages in this book so far, through 5 chapters. We now know that Britney's always been desperate for attention. What will we find out next? Who knows? But I'm going to continue reading, and hopefully you don't have to check me into a mental facility by the time I'm done with this nonsense. Let me know your thoughts, though, down in the comments below. If you're feeling generous, please drop a super thanks, or you can support my channel for free by hitting that thumbs up button, sharing this video. I'm losing my train of thought just thinking about this crap-ass book. Subscribe, ring the notification bell, and I'll talk to you all soon in the next video.